All right, going to call the regular meeting of council to order for Monday, December 1st. Take approval of the agenda, please. Council Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the December 1st, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes for November 17th, 2025 regular meeting of council minutes. Recommendation, Councilor Noxana.
That the November 17th, 2025 regular meeting of council minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Bertrand. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Delegation, CTI Plus Resources, Peter, Hang, and Judy. Engagement coordinator in attendance to provide to council an update on the Rocky Creek Metallurgical Coal Project. Welcome. Judy, I'm not sure who's taking the lead, if it's yourself or Peter. Is she on mute?
Judy, I think you're on mute.
Need a couple minutes, Ms. Scott? It's on there, so it's on. We can hear Peter fine. Okay. Judy, maybe I can recommend if you just maybe reset and sign back in. We just can't hear you. We can hear Peter, though.
Sorry about that, folks. I guess to answer your question, Judy will be doing the speaking. I'll be running the slides.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Peter. We'll give her a few minutes to sign back in.
Thank you.
Let's just take a 5-minute recess. That way we can come offline. Now we can confirm. what we're going to do is we're going to continue on with the agenda. Just so everybody's aware, we're just going to give CTI Plus Resources some time to just figure out some technical issues on their side so they can do a delegation via Zoom. But we're going to move on with the agenda and then just come back. So I'll do the consent agenda and I'll take the recommendation, please. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor, that all items in the December 1st, 2025 consent agenda be moved for information.
Seconder, Councilor Bertrand. All in favor? Carried. Any items council like to bring forward for discussion? Councilor Noxana,
7.8
for discussion?
for discussion.
Yep. Seconder, Councilor Bertrand. All in favor? Carried. Go ahead, Councilor Noxana.
Thank you. I see that there is planning underway for the 2026 Medical Conference here in Tumbler Ridge, and I would like to propose that we support the conference with.
Do you want to just have a little bit of discussion
Somebody
first?
else want to discuss? Okay. I'm just excited that planning is underway, so I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I should have reached out to council and I didn't, but I think when we talk about the Tumbler Ridge Medical Conference, we've definitely supported it for multiple years, and I think it's a great opportunity. And as we see the concerns with our medical, this is an opportunity to me that we can lean on to assist us when we bring people to our community. So, Councilor Knox, I'd be fine with a motion from you, but I'm looking at a 3-year. So I had a philosophy of my own thoughts, and this will be up to council to support it. But I thought about a 3-year with year 1 being 10,000, year 2 being 15,000, year 3 being 15,000. Total amount would be $40,000. To me, it saves them from having to come back. And I just thought, one, they can start pre-planning not only for 2026, but as 2027 moves on, they know that council has supported it for a 3-year obligation. Councilor Noxana?
Thank you. I really like that. That gives them the ability to pre-plan as the years roll, or the year rolls through. So are you making that motion?
You go ahead.
I am proposing that we support the Tumbler Ridge Medical Conference on a 3-year basis with 10,000 the first year, 15 the next year, and 15 in 28.
Seconder, Councillor Bertrand. Discussion. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I really like the idea myself. Reading over it, they're anticipating some loss of funding, so I guess I should have jumped in sooner, but is there any reason not to do 15,000 this year?
Yeah, we can amend it. I did the 10,000 for the first year because we used to do 6. So they asked for 10, so obviously they already know about some of the loss of funding. The reason I mentioned about increasing it for the next 2 years coming up is obviously as things increase, and it gives them a little bit of leeway that if next year they only spend 11,000, they have a bit more in the following year. So it's not contingent that they have to spend it all in year 2 or year that. So that was my idea of it.
Okay, no, I'm good with it. I just want to make sure that this is an avenue for us, if that's what it comes down to being. And I can't think of a better way of advertising us than having a medical conference here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll be honest, I mean, I know this came forward, and I'm not sure if it came up at the Health Task Force. I haven't gone to every meeting. But again, this gives an opportunity for them to have a conversation. It goes back to Dr. Helm. Understanding that if something changes, come back forward. Again, I think this is somewhere where we can lean on with the individuals that the group brings in. I think this is a way of really leaning in on attraction and retention atmosphere of it. I mean, it's grown to be a big event. So I think it'll only get bigger. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. Yeah, I fully support the recommendation on the floor. Adding in years 2 and 3 gives them some certainty as to funding in the future. That's very useful for when you're trying to leverage partnerships, saying that the District of Tumbler Ridge is supporting to this amount. And we've already seen the positives, benefits because of it. We have so many medical professionals coming into town. You know, we are in the business of promoting Tumbler Ridge right now, and any little bit helps. So, full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on the motion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any other items council like to bring forward for discussion? Councilor Noxana.
7.2 for discussion.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Bertrand, Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I need to recuse myself as I work for the Geopark and as a monetary interest.
Thank you. Councillor Knoxena.
Thank you. The Geopark is asking for 100 passes to use in this year's Sledding Santa event, and I'm motioning that we provide them with that.
Seconder, Councillor Bertrand. Any discussion? I'll make a comment. Thanks, Councillor Knoxena. So I planned on supporting it. I think it's a great opportunity to obviously support the local Geopark and the initiative that they've come up with. And what better way than to use our community center with the youth of the community. So support the motion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Hoffman, can you grab Councillor Norbury, please? Oh, yeah, it's locked from the. Yeah, it's a locking door. Any other items council would like to bring forward for discussion? I'd like to, oh, Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. 7.6 for discussion.
Perfect, thank you. I'll second that. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. We have the Legion requesting use of waiving the golf cart fees for their annual fundraiser. So I'd like to motion that we provide the Royal Canadian Legion with a fee waiver for the golf cart fees for their annual golf tournament.
Seconder. Councillor Knoxena. Discussion? Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. Just going over the letter here, and it appears that they are asking to book a certain day for the next 2 years. Usually we waive the fees for this tournament, but I don't see that request here. But anyways, I'm in support of this. It's a very well-attended and excellent cause. Definitely in support of waiving the fees, but I'm not finding the request here.
It's on page 45. Golf cart fees, halfway fine kind equipment and district service requested golf cart fees.
Oh, yes.
The golf has already been included. I'm going to go to Ms. Scott, but I believe previously there was 2 events that we waived golf green fees as well as cart fees, and that was the TR Legion as well as the TR Cares tournament. I asked Ms. Scott about it today when I was in and did my agenda review, but she had to look. Again, first day back for her as well. Ms. Scott?
My recommendation would be, instead of this one-time approval of the golf carts, that the motion be to amend the policy to include the golf carts going forward. The motions from council last year when this came forward was to add this to the exempt policy, the approved exempt policy. But there was a motion to waive the fees, and then there was a second motion to waive the golf cart fees, and then there was a third motion to add it to the approved exempt policy. But under that policy, all golf cart course requests other than TR Cares annual event will only have green fees for the tournament waived. All cart and club rentals will be charged at full price unless specifically waived by council. And so my recommendation would be that the motion be to amend the policy to include the Legion as being exempt for both of those fees going forward.
Thank you. I plan to make an amendment, but no, I appreciate that we do it if council wants to, but that was my understanding previously before it came in, when we made a bunch of changes, that the TR Cares and the Legion had that added in there. I mean, we're supporting our vets for one, and then we were supporting healthcare in the other, so. Yeah, I did plan on making the amendment, but Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. I can't say I'd be in favor of amending the policy because we didn't waive carts for another popular fundraising tournament in the summertime as well. Again, I have to take the stand that the golf carts are definitely a revenue maker. We've invested a lot of money in renewing our fleet, and you are able to golf the course without a golf cart, so I'm not in favor of waiving the fees. Golf cart fees, sorry.
Any other discussion? I plan on making an amendment that we add, change our policy going forward, that the TR Legion is golf cart fee waivers are included in their ground fees waiver. Second on the amendment, Councilor Norbury. Discussion on the amendment. I'll make a couple comments. I understand from Councilor Bertrand earlier his comments. I look at this as supporting our vets. These are the people that fought for our country. It's that we do have vets that live in our community that do attend the Legion, and I think it's a way to support the Legion so they can support the vets on stuff that they do within the community. So I'll be supporting my own amendment. Previously, my understanding, and it might have been when we changed the policy, that we missed adding the golf carts, because previously it was included for TR Cares and the TR Legion, and I think it's important to have that. So I'll be supporting my amendment. Any other discussion? Call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Opposed? Councilor Bertrand's opposed to the amendment. Amendment carries. Any more discussion on the amended motion? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councilor Bertrand's opposed. Motion carries. Put another motion on the floor. My understanding is they're looking for a certain date that we give direction to staff that we book TR Legion Golf Tournament for the third Saturday of every July going forward, unless the TR Legion advises the municipality they will not be having a tournament in that year. Seconder, Councillor Norbury. Discussion, Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. I see that their letter says that in 2026, this is already booked. Do you include 2026 in your motion, or that would be after the 2026?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this would start in 2027 as per their letter. So my understanding, and I do have supported the TR Legion Golf Tournament for as long as I've been in the community, and they've ran one, and they've always had it pretty much on the same date. So somehow there was a date booked. I believe it's for a wedding, so they have to move their date for 2026. So going forward, just because they pre-plan their event around other events that are happening in the region, so this would just go forward for them, so they don't have to come back or book. And again, they'll reach out if they decide not to have a tournament. I think staff can contact them if it passes. Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. My concern I have is a communication breakdown. I don't think it's too much to ask that both parties, whoever initiates, are clear on it, whether it's staff calling out when they're looking at the schedule for tournaments that year, or whether it's the Legion. It's one of those things that whoever's responsible, doesn't really matter. It causes a big enough problem that I think you just need to both tick that box, whether it's in at the tournament a year in advance or in December, like whatever staff feels appropriate. But I don't think there is any reason why you don't get a tick from both sides instead of putting the responsibility on one.
Yep, appreciate your comments. Again, I think when we're booking them, again, we have other tournaments that do the same thing year after year, whether that's Johnny Malcolm Foundation, TR Cares used to have a pick date and such. And, Councillor Bertrand mentioned, as our golf course gets busier, we opened up the concept of weddings and stuff on the certain holes and stuff like that. I think, this here, whoever reaches out, Councillor Hoffman, I don't disagree. Legion can also reach out at the thing, but I think this can be added into the policy that's stipulated now that moving forward for staff. I think it makes it easy as well. Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I support reserving it in the future, just so it's always there booked in the calendar, because realistically, I was curious, well, what's booked in there for this year? And when you're planning a wedding, you're sometimes planning a year and a half in advance. So unless the person taking the booking at the, wherever, is aware that this is the exact date, it's really easy to look at the calendar and say, oh, there's nothing there, sure, I'll pencil you in. So this way, it's always in there every year. And yeah, I think the mayor makes good points that these weekends are planned based on other events happening around the region. Thanks.
Okay. Call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. Any other items council like to bring forward? I would like to bring forward, we can use it under, let's do 7.4 for discussion. Councillor Noxana, seconder. I think we should be doing the same thing. I think we should be very concerned about this bill, especially. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, sorry, all in favor? Yeah, thanks. All in favor? I just wanted to get right to carried. I think we should be looking at the same thing as sending a letter as well. It really could affect the municipality if we do have that housing boom, which we all hope we do, whether that's as Canuma moves forward on some of the mining. The new mining with the delegation was the CTI plus resources. To me, reading through this bill, it could affect us in a way that an organization can come here and be their own house builders, and they actually sign off on their own houses. So I think we should be doing the same thing, fighting this bill. I think it takes having a building inspector away, which I understand from their side down south, that this may help try to move houses along. They have more access to have people come in and oversee that. We don't have the same kind of access in the north. I think community by community or even zone by zone is different. So I'd be curious to hear from the rest of council, but I think we should be giving direction to staff to, whether we support City of Pitt Meadows from the mayor's office or we write our own and explain the feelings from the north. I believe this will be coming up at the PRD on Friday. It's in the agenda there as well. Again, I think it's really important when we see certain bills that we make sure that it doesn't harm or affect what the municipality has been doing previously when it came to building inspectors or our zoning. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. Yeah, I mean, when I was reading it, it seemed like I understand the purpose behind it. You're trying to streamline these things, but you're removing our ability to have any interaction with the project in that. And it feels to me that that's part of our role as municipalities is to oversee a project like this. We should have our people take a look at it to make sure that it is within guidelines versus trusting a third-party professional that we're not the ones overseeing. Right? Like I could easily see, just like you say, somebody, they know signs off on this, or, someone who's not even here, present, they can sign off on it. I do have some concerns with this bill. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else from council? Councilor Hoffman.
I gotta say, I'm not really sure why they're even doing this. This seems like a local issue. If the local municipality wants to streamline what down south, then by all means, streamline. If you want to coordinate with your neighboring municipalities, go ahead and coordinate, because you have professionals crossing boundaries there. I don't see how this applies to the north at all. So, yeah, I'm very much in support of Pitt Meadows, and even I will now be waiting to hear what the PRD has to say about it. But no, it doesn't seem to belong here. Like, it's just not something that's needed. So, yeah. Keep an eye.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to keep an eye. I'm going to put a motion on the floor that we ask staff to draft a response back to the Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, Minister Boyle, and if we could actually have it for the P&P or at the next regular council meeting for review by council and sign off and send it to government. Take a seconder. Councillor Noxana. Discussion. And I'll be honest, I thank Councillor Hoffman, but I think we need to send it from us right away. They need to know that we're pushing back. And again, I will update council from the PRD, but I imagine that we'll see the same kind of thing from the PRD. What works down south doesn't always work up north. So, okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Anything else council like to bring forward? Just so council aware they're doing a bond spill. If anybody's interested in doing it, don't reach out to me. We can add it to the next agenda. We can send a team to Fort St. Jonas. So if there is, but I don't want to discuss it. Ms. Scott, can you tell me, are they prepared for delegation?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Peter and Judy, you can hear us okay?
Try it again. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can, Judy. We can hear you. Hey. All right. The floor is yours, Judy.
Okay. Oh, thank you for all your patience. Gosh. So, okay, let's go. And there are two reasons we wanted to meet with you, and thank you for the invitation. One is, of course, to wish everybody a good, happy season and end of the year. And we want to give you an update on where we are at the end of 2025. So Peter's going to assist me here this evening, as he has been doing already, as you know. So we can go on to the next slide. So in the next 10, 15 minutes, I just want to give you the general project overview in case you forgot anything about Rocky Creek Metallurgical Coal Project. What we've been doing since we last met with you, our field activities, and then what's coming, down the pipes in 2026, what our plans are. So basically, just a quick overview is, yeah, we are located halfway between District of Tumbler Ridge and Chetwynd. We have a high-grade quality metallurgical coal project. The present proposed mine plan is 2 blocks, northwest block, which would take approximately 7 to 10 years for full production, and a southeast block which would be 1 pit and would take about 1 to 2 years for full production. The northwest block is about 7. We're looking at 6 to 7 pits in that block. Our key infrastructure, we have the main facility area, and we can show you a map of that if you forget where the mine plan was. Our proposed rail loadout right now is near the CN rail in the Hassler Flat area. We have clean coal haul road and proposed transmission line. We're actually in discussion with Kanuma to see how we could share infrastructure with them to avoid any further surface disturbance. Mine operation, we're looking at a 14-year mine life. Our production, we're looking at 3 million tons of raw coal and 2 million tons of clean coal, that the coal would be cleaned at the mine site with our coal clean process plant and then hauled down to the Hassler Flat area. Employment opportunities, we're looking at about 370 direct jobs, and spin-off jobs, we're looking at about 200. Okay, what did we do in 2025? In Q1, we did a lot of presentations. We met with the Chetwynd Chamber of Commerce. We had an open house for the Hassler Flat residents. We did presentation meeting with the Caribou Recovery Committee. We presented to Fort St. John, Mackenzie, Peace River Regional District, and Fraser Prince George area. And we also did a complete detailed fossil impact assessment with the First Nations that we also shared with all the First Nation groups. In Q2, we presented to Dawson Creek and again with Peace River Regional District and the Regional District of Fraser Fort George. We shared year 1 baseline studies with all the First Nations. We participated in Soto community open houses, and we submitted our draft detailed project description and our air to the First Nations. And when we did all the submissions, we also asked the First Nations for their responses back and their comments back, which we did receive from all the First Nations other than with Horse Lake, which they said they would rely on more on what the West Moberly and Soto's responses were. Q3, we attended cultural events, Pemmican Days, West Moberly Days, and McLeod Lake Indian Band at the AGA. And we also did a presentation to Prince George. Now, Q4, well, all the time we were doing engagement, we were also working on the detailed project description. We had submitted the initial project description back in the end of August of 2024. And after that initial project description, we had over 400 comments that came back from First Nations and public comments that we needed to address. So all of this, we addressed the comments to prepare to submit the detailed project description. So that was our key focus for Q4 of 2025. So we submitted our formal detailed project description, and the other associated documents that go with it back in October. And even with the BC labor strike and everything, we were only delayed by about 2 weeks. So we were very fortunate with the timelines with the BC labor strike, we were still able to keep proceeding forward. We had just recently, we met with the Technical Advisory Committee, TAC, and we had the kickoff, and then we also met with them where they reviewed our detailed project description and had questions and responses for us. We also did an exploration and drilling program back in October, and the next slide gives more details on that. And again, we still proceeding with open houses. And this Thursday, December 4th, we're hosting an open house in Chetwynd to with the Hassler Flat residents and Chetwynd residents to just more to come and ask questions and meet with us and updates and that. So we did do a drilling program, but due to the fires and all that, as I know you're very well aware of, our drilling program did get delayed. We did not spud until October 15th, and we mobilized one rig that we brought up from Lower Mainland, or the rig was demobilized on November 3rd. So between the 15th and the 3rd, of course, we had the weather conditions working against us, and starting like very wet conditions and shorter daylight hours. So we shortened our drilling program quite extensively. We did a total of 10 shallow holes, and by shallow holes, less than 100 meters. And to identify, we had 2 groundwater holes, 2 geochem core holes, 4 sonic bore holes, and 2 test pits. All we were able to be successful with these 10 shallow holes. We got to TD, and we didn't have any complications with any downhole problems or anything like that. So even with the weather working against us and the wet road conditions, we were able to finish the 10 holes that we needed to in order to continue on with more technical data to go into the EA process. We also did an AIA, an archaeological impact assessment. Our field work began September 4th to September 13th. In this AIA, there was some shovel testing done, and throughout this whole program, we did have a First Nation land guardian all the time out with our consultant doing the AIA work. And the last point, our work scope did include shovel testing and all the surveying. Okay, what's next? So we did complete the detailed project description. And we also completed the draft application information requirements. And both the DPD and the draft AIR, we did have responses, comments back from the First Nations. And we are going to be continuing engaged with communities and the First Nations. Now, what's the next step for us is the readiness decision. And after the province, the EAO, reviews the detailed project descriptions, the comments and responses that are coming back from the First Nations, then the readiness decision is made. And the readiness decision, the province has told us to expect it about the 3rd week of February. In that readiness decision will be one of 3. It's either going to be a green light, go ahead into the process planning and into the environmental assessment, or it could be, nope, this project, there's too many extraordinary adverse effects on traditional territory, stop. Or it could be that you can go ahead, but you need to do further consultation engagement with the nations. So we will have that decision about the 3rd week of February, what the next steps are. And that's about it in a nutshell. Like, that's where we're at right now. This week, Peter and I will be traveling into the Chetwynd area, and we're going to be meeting with McLeod Lake Indian Band, the Saulteaux First Nations, and I think that's and the Hassler Flat residents, and then proceed, depending on and just answering any questions and moving forward. But the next major step for us will be the 3rd week of February with the readiness decision. So I'll stop there, and if anybody has any questions, and again, thanks for your patience, to listen to this presentation.
You bet. Well, thank you very much, Judy, for coming out and engaging with Tumbler Ridge and council and stuff. Really greatly appreciate yourself and Peter for doing that. Any questions from council? No questions. I got one for you. What does it look like in regards for the caribou? Have you heard any feedback from about caribou in the area?
Yeah, it's really interesting. We did present to the CRC and all that. So we are using a consultant, EDI, who have much experience on caribou. And the Rocky Creek area is, based on the data and the information, is in a low risk habitat. However, that being said, we still have to do all, more studies on with the caribou. But we were told today, this morning, we had a meeting with Walrus, Ministry of Lands, Water, Resource Stewardship, and she's in out of the Dawson Creek office and in charge of, or her responsibility is wildlife, told us this morning that the CRC has been dismantled. There's no more CRC, and she's not quite sure what's going to happen there. But in answer to your question, we will still doing studies on the caribou, and it's showing that we are not as much the high-risk habitat as other projects have been.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I wasn't aware that the CRC is concluded. My understanding, but yeah, I don't have a whole bunch. Judy, please keep us informed as you guys move forward, and just keep us updated. I wish you luck, and I'll say the same thing. Merry Christmas to you and your company, and Happy New Year's. I believe in the Merry Christmas thing, and some won't, but I do. So when I do, I'm definitely. I don't sidestep it at all. So I wish you nothing but the best in 2026.
Thank you, and we'll let you know what happens after February for sure. And yeah, season's greetings to everybody, and thank you again for all of your help and assistance with where we are today with the Rocky Creek project. We, on behalf of all CTI Plus Resources, we very much appreciate all your assistance on this and listening and guiding us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and have yourself a good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. 2026 AME Roundup pre-approval, report dated December 1st, 2025, from the Executive Assistant to the CAO, Mayor, and Council regarding the 2026 AME Roundup pre-approval. Recommendation. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that following members of council be identified for attendance at the AME Roundup 2026 conference in Vancouver, BC, from January 26th to 29th, 2026, with costs coming from council's travel budget. And I'd like to nominate Mayor Kurkalka.
Okay, are there any other, before we get a second, anybody else from council want to attend? Okay, take a seconder. Councillor Noxana, discussion? Ooh, that's excellent. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Tumbler Ridge Community Forest Liaison, report dated December 1st, 2025, from the Executive Assistant to the CEO, Mayor, and Council regarding the Tumbler Ridge Community Forest. Recommendation, please. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that council appoint Mayor Daryl Kurkalka as the district representative to the Tumbler Ridge Community Forest Board of Directors.
Seconder, Councillor Noxana. Discussion? Just want to make it clear that I did reach out to Councillor Norbury. Councillor Norbury was well aware that I would like to have been, and we had a conversation, and Councillor Norbury did not have a concern being removed and myself being put on, but I just want to make sure Council's aware of that. Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. This would be the best time to say I absolutely oppose this. And
Perfect.
no, but it is not true. I've served on the Community Forest Board multiple years before I joined council. It is a great board, and I'm sure they will do well with your presence there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank Councillor Norbury for his 10 years of service to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important to recognize, I mean, all the board members, but 10 years is a long time, and, you know, take a pat on the back. I mean, you guys have done a lot of work at the Community Forest, and I think sometimes it's important to keep people there, but it's also important to put new people there. And as I attended a lot of meetings, I was well informed that I did not have a very good pulse on the Community Forest. So I think it's an opportunity to have that pulse, and that's why I did have a discussion with Councillor Norbury. Okay, going to call a motion. All in favor? Carried. 9.3, 2026 additional staff internal electrician, report dated December 1st, 2025, from the Director of Operations and Infrastructure regarding additional staff internal electrician. Recommendation, please. Put a motion on the floor that council approves the supplemental budget request to fund the addition of a full-time in-house electrician to support the district's operations, with the cost to be proportionally allocated across departments and incorporated into the 2026 budgeting planning process. Seconder, Councillor Hoffman. Discussion. Councillor Noxena.
Thank you. I am not in favor of the motion on the floor. I've asked for information on what we've spent on contractors to do electrical work in the last few years. In 2025, up till now, it's about 36,000. Last year, it was about 84,000. I'm not sure if we need a full-time contractor to do that level of work. Or full-time employees.
Okay, yeah, okay, Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. Just trying to formulate that information. Thank you, Councillor Noxena. That was a question of mine as well. To be honest, I'm quite amazed that we've been able to operate for 40 years without one on staff. There's an incredible amount of equipment with electrical specifications. I think without it, it definitely puts us in a risk scenario. I would be in favor of this. I like the fact that it is being proportioned to all of the departments as well. It's not strictly on Public Works, so the cost can be shared on that. And I certainly think there is enough equipment within the district to keep this person busy.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just think this is good policy with where we are and how high a priority we would end up being if there really is a bigger issue. I don't even know if we'll be able to recruit one, but we should at least try. And being in town and a district employee means the district will be a priority. For a contractor, especially in a larger outage, we probably wouldn't. So just for that alone, I like the idea, especially since who we used to rely on is not necessarily going to be available for that anymore. So 100% in favor of this motion.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Going to make a couple comments. I appreciate Councillor Noxana's comments and reaching out and getting costs. I'd be curious if we can get the true or all the costs, because that's contractor rates is what you're talking about. We did already have an internal employee at one point that was used elsewhere within the community, but was an electrical or contractor. Well, he wasn't a contractor. He was an employee of the district that did electrical work on behalf of the municipality. When we couldn't get the company that we had signed up with come in, are those numbers included in the numbers that Councillor Noxena has? Ms. Scott.
The email that I sent Councillor Noxena and the rest of council this morning included total electrical costs, not just the contractor costs. But I would point out that in 2024 and 2025, because of PTW's lack of availability, there was a lot of electrical work that we weren't able to complete, which has affected the amount that we have spent.
Thank you. So that was going to be my next comment. So I'm not sure how much council was aware when they went in and did agenda reviews with our CEO or had to use the boardroom, how long the lights were out in either her office or in that boardroom. Never mind the amount of lights that are out within the community center to date. They're still out. That were out probably for the last 6 months, which I believe is a concern. If we have an electrical company that the district has signed, an SO, let me get the abbreviation here. And I think it was an SOA, I believe, or something it's called, whatever, are unavailable to come to the municipality to fix what is needed at the time it breaks or at the time we need it fixed. That would lower what we've actually spent because they're unavailable. My understanding when I was in and did an agenda review, I heard lots of that in regards to, and I read it in the report. We could put ourselves in a concern. The company that we use sometimes don't have the manpower to come to the community when we have an issue. So my concern when we have something major happen, one, it can wreck more infrastructure that we need. Whether that's electrical, and all of a sudden it hinders our heating ability, or such, or running our compactor at the transfer station and things. I think of things like that. If they can't come to town in a timely fashion, what does that do for the running of the municipality? What happens if we have something go down with water and we need electrician and they're unavailable at the time? And I asked the question, well, if we have this contract, we must have stipulations within this contract that states, this is a priority. This is extreme case priority. They would have to come immediately. Yeah, you're probably right. As long as they're not already at one priority that's in Dawson or in Fort St. John or another municipality they're tagged to. I think I appreciate Councillor Hoffman when he says, I think it's a great concept. let's put it out there. Maybe we don't get anybody to apply. At least we're trying. That's how I look at it. I read the report, all the background information in regards to it. At first I did. I thought, I didn't look after year. I looked at the total cost for 5 years, $800,000. I call it, let's round it up to $1 million. I thought, wow. Those were my questions to Ms. Scott was that a good wage? Is that an average wage? Is that the going wage? My understanding, they looked into it. That's what we could be looking at if you're an electrician, and due to our union agreement, this is where they would sit within the scale. But when I read some of the report from staff, and it talks about benefits, but also the risks and legal considerations, talks about WCB, BC Electrical Code requirements. I think I rely on staff fully when they bring forward certain things like this. And to me, we used to have it. We had a person on staff that worked in another department with the municipality, but was available when electrical needs were needed by the municipality. My understanding is the individual is still works for the municipality, but as a casual, and has saved the municipality numerous times late in the evenings when we're unable to access our electrician under contract. So that's my concern, and I think when I look at council, and I 100% support the concept of medical care. We need medical care. We deserve medical care. I think sometimes we forget about some of these things, whether that's electricians that we rely on that for our municipality, or plumbers. Same thing for the municipality. So I'll be supporting the motion. Councillor Knox-Stana, then Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you. My concern is we are hiring a full-time electrician. That is going to still leave our municipality with a lot of time where we don't have someone to do emergency electrical work. Evenings, weekends, vacation days. We can't expect an employee to be on call 24/7, whereas this can be written into a contract. Maybe we won't be the first priority if they're on a really high needs call, but we're still going to need a contractor either way. We can't rely on one employee to do everything.
Ms. Scott, when it comes to after-hour calls, I'm assuming by the union agreement, if they get called back in, they would be no different than, again, snow removal. I could be wrong, but would that not be correct?
Yes, this is a question that I would like to direct to Director Bradley, who can provide that information.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. Yeah, we will still be vulnerable at times, but what ends up happening is that if we are not reliant on an SOA, a standing offer agreement, we have the flexibility to be able to branch out and reach out to other contractors to be able to fulfill the needs. If we are locked in with an SOA, we are predetermined to go to that company. If we have a staff member who gets a certain amount of vacation throughout the year, we can also plan for that. We can say, hey, during this time period, can we use your assistance if needed? It doesn't pigeonhole us into one agreement.
Thank you. And just in regards to after hours, I just want to get clarity on that. We could still call that employee back in. It'd be just like overtime, right? Sorry.
So again, I'll ask Director Bradley to provide that information.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. Yes, absolutely. It would be no different than any other regular call out that we have.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bertrand and Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just thinking another reason why I like this position is, when we're hiring a contractor, it's usually emergency work. It's usually run something to the point of fail, and now all of a sudden we need to get somebody in. Plus, contractors come from out of town. Our transportation issues are extensive in the wintertime. I like having this person on staff because then we could start to possibly do some preventative maintenance, which could eventually, in theory, decrease our costs as well.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. And I too want to acknowledge Councillor Knox-Stana's concern. I mean, I don't add another full-time position lightly, but when we're talking about power, it's critical. We need it. We can only run on generators for so long. And when we're talking about the work, it's not just emergency work. I mean, our buildings are 40 years old. Receptacles, lighting, there's security setups. There's just a lot of things that can be put on a schedule, inspected, kept up to date, and worked on. It's not that they're going to be sitting down and waiting for a call out, and hopefully we have enough of call outs to match the contractor. It's an employee. Their tasks will be set up in advance. They'll have jobs, priorities will come up, things will switch around. I just can't see for the next, especially for 6 months behind on fixing lights in the community center, there's going to be lots to do. So I'm still very much in support of this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? And thanks, Councillor Bertrand, for that. We talk regular maintenance. We had that conversation today, the agenda reviews. That was, I'll be honest, that was one of my concerns. Is there enough work for a full-time employee, electrician employee? And, that's what staff said right away. We don't even do routine electrical maintenance. We wait till, like Councillor Bertrand just said, till there's an emergency. Something's gone down, we need an electrician, we need him today. And then they can't come. So I definitely support it. Anything else from council? Okay, going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Knox is opposed. Motion carries. I am in a second motion on there. I hope council supports it, but I'm going to do a pre-approval in the budget for 2026 for the electrician employee. Take a seconder. Councillor Bertrand, discussion. Before I go to Councillor Knox, I'm going to mention it. Talks about the previous motion. I should have changed my wording in the planning process. I think the planning process needs to start if my understanding reading this, right now we have a permit that is held by another company. And it's my understanding, I asked staff about, does this put us in jeopardy if we do not do a standing, an SOA, that we will not have a permit? I can't remember what the permit's for, but maybe staff can fill council in. My understanding is this will not jeopardize that. It sounds like they may have a company that's willing to hold this until we can move through the process. And to be pre-approved is I think we need to start the process so that we can have staff start looking. And like Councillor Hoffman had said, maybe we don't get anybody applying. I don't know, but if they don't have this right certificate or criteria within their education, we would need to make sure that we send it off, that we pay for that course so they can hold this permit, because the district has to have this permit to be able to be open. Ms. Scott, can we just get clarity what that is? I forget what the permit was called.
I don't want to say the wrong thing either, so I'll ask Director Bradley to provide the
And I don't feel so bad.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Mayor and Council, yes, what we need to obtain for our permit in the district is an FSR level A. We've been gracious enough to have our previous contractor or contractor that's still on SOA until December 31st. They have agreed to maintain their name on our permit to allow for a succession plan.
Thank you. Councillor Knoxon and Councillor Norbury.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if your thought would be then to have an employee hopefully start January 1st in an ideal world. That would be your pre-approval thought.
No, I think, I'll be honest, my pre-approval thought, Councillor Knoxon, is for staff to start the process. So I could be wrong. Staff may tell me, no, we've already started the process because we were hoping the council would support this. But I would think they would wait till council has initiated it. Yeah, maybe this is a good idea for the municipality. So to me, they're going to have to build what they're looking for. This is what the job looks like, and with whatever Ms. Scott's Director of Operation had just mentioned in regard to this permit, because if they don't, my understanding is the district would have to send them away for education. So this individual might, I'm just saying the pre-approval so they can start building it and advertising it. I mean, I'm not sure normally, I think we have a posting, usually it's 3 weeks or something like that. That carries us beyond New Year's in staff with the office being closed. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is just for that process to start. Thoughts? Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. I think we should just ask staff if they need it, if the previous motion is sufficient for what you're talking about there, because there's no number attached to this or anything at this point in time.
No, there is a number attached. It's in your agenda.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Scott?
Ideally, if this motion was to pass, I mean, yes, we would definitely like to have somebody in place sooner rather than later, because that SOA is expiring at the end of December.
Now, do you think, just to follow up on maybe Councillor Hoffman will ask it himself, do you think you'll be able to fill it by then?
We would not be able to fill it by January 1, no. It would be to fill as soon as possible, as you said, as we work through the process of developing what the actual job description is and the advertising, all that.
Okay. Councillor Hoffman, follow up?
I was just talking about with the previous motion, that supporting the creation of the position versus your motion, is that change anything for staff? If that's a yes.
It changes that we're approving the budget, which is on page 83. Year one is 149.
I got you.
Sorry, 103, plus the benefits, plus the tool allowance, plus the computer for starting off.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, and then continue on. Any other discussion by council? I don't want to put Councillor Noxano on out there, but you know, you asked the question. I was just curious where you were going with it, and the reason I asked that is because I just want to make sure that we all have a fair debate, and maybe you have something there that I wasn't thinking of when you asked, like, what was my philosophy there?
Thank you. No, I was just wondering when you wanted this position to start, because you're looking to pre-approve the budget. So having that position start as this contract ends, or looking forward like into the spring just before the budget started?
Yeah, I would just think it would be when staff could fill it. I mean, it might take that long, I guess. I mean, I'd love to see them fill it sooner than later when it comes to this. And I want to make sure council well aware. I had very good discussion in regards to this. I think I feel the same with a lot of council as, you know, as you add an employee, that employee's here forever. That position's here forever. It's a union position. I mean, I am definitely want to see us watch our budgets. You know, not just in 2026 budget, but moving forward. But when I read through the report and I see the liability or the risk that we could be putting our equipment at, and we've been buying a lot of new equipment, golf carts, Zambonis. We actually have an electric Zamboni and stuff like that, but also our vehicles. I mean, we don't think there's much electrical on some of this stuff there is. And, you know, Councillor Bertrand mentioned it, like, I mean, lights, but we're not even doing any general regular maintenance on electrical, whether that's lights or even our plugins. I look at the amount of money we probably spent when we did the community center parking lot, when we ran all the plugins for heaters for the staff parking, and some other stuff that they had found as they went through. If we had somebody on staff, maybe we don't spend as much. That would be my thought. Okay, going to call the question on the motion. All in favor? Motion carries. YMCA BC lease agreement renewal. Report dated December 1st, 2025 from the Director of Community Services and Facilities regarding the YMCA BC lease agreement renewal. Recommendation, Councillor Noxana.
The council approves renewal of the lease agreement with the YMCA under the existing terms and conditions for a further 2-year period.
Seconder, Councillor Norbury. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Notice of motion. Scheduling event meetings and events. Would you like to do that first? Okay, sorry. That's what happens when you don't read. Council, got anything in regards to schedule of meetings and events? So remember, Holly Jolly is Wednesday the 3rd, December 3rd. Sledding with Santa, 6 p.m. on December 19th. This Christmas party is on December 13th. Anything else from council? Ms. Scott, anything from staff side?
No.
Thanks. Just for people that are attending Northern Health meetings on the 8th, leaving town on the 7th. Councillor Noxana?
Thank you. There's a light up tour on the evening of the 14th.
14th, okay. And that's a lighting contest. So about 5 p.m.? 5 p.m. And I heard the person to be is Eric Owen, that lives on Peace River Crescent. So feel free to decorate your houses. And when's the cutoff for signing up? December 13th. I don't know. I'm assuming, I can't remember the date. If it was at 7th, December 7th. So if you guys want to enter the competition. Okay, this point of order is done. Notice of motion, birthday and anniversary acknowledgement at the November 3rd, 2025 regular meeting of council. Councillor Dussault brought the following notice of motion forward. I'm going to read the recommendation that staff report back with information on whether the district can acknowledge birthdays and anniversaries. Seconder, Councillor Norbury. Discussion, make a couple comments. I did have a conversation with Councillor Dussault, and she did ask me to bring these forward. We did defer them at the last meeting. She was unavailable to make it tonight, and I asked her what she would like me to do with these, so I will bring them forward for that and making a decision. I just want to make sure, very clear on this to staff. You know, she's looking more at the longer years when it comes to anniversaries and birthdays. Like it's, she did mention to me, which is not in the notice of motion, but I would think birthdays like newborn babies when they're born, they live from Tumbler Ridge. Maybe we do something from the mayor's office with a signed thing for the family. I think that could be included underneath the birthdays, but that was kind of what she thought from council side. That's what she was hoping for support. Okay, any discussion from council? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Bertrand's opposed. Motion carries. Rage Room at the November 3rd, 2025 regular meeting of council. Councillor Dussault brought the following notice of motion forward. That staff researches the liabilities and legalities regarding a rage room. Seconder. One more time, seconder. Okay. Okay, motion dies, and I'll be honest, I planned it, and I did talk to Ms. Councillor Dussault, explain it, some of the liabilities in regards to it, and probably that it would be unsupported, so she was aware of that, but I was hoping for a seconder, but I'll talk about it. Doctor Scholarship at the November 17th, 2025 regular council meeting, Council Norbury brought forward the following notice of motion. Council Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That staff create a report about offering a full scholarship to someone interested in becoming a doctor.
Seconder, Councillor Noxana, discussion. I'd just be curious, Council Norbury, if that would be mainly for Tumbler Ridge first? If nobody was to sign up for Tumbler Ridge, we would look for outside the community within the Peace region, or what was your philosophy there?
I think that's a great idea, Mayor, that we first put it out to District of Tumbler Ridge, and then we offer it out beyond that. I think a scoring matrix could be an option for that, with obviously the Tumbler Ridge applicant receiving higher on the scoring matrix. But yeah, good comments. Thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Bertrand and Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I like this idea. I would like to see some sort of stipulation of return to service in our area, specifically Tumbler Ridge. And I'm wondering if we're limiting ourselves to just a doctor. You know, I can think of 5 years ago, we were in crisis for nursing. 4 years ago, we were in crisis for lab work. Currently, we're in crisis for doctors. I just wonder if this motion is limiting us, and maybe we should expand it a little bit. But I would like to include a stipulation with this. A lot of, no, I'll keep it there. Thank you.
Yeah, and just before I go to Councillor Hoffman, we can always amend it. I think it's a great start of the motion. And it's same as return for service. That can all be fleshed out with the report. This isn't to go forward and do it. It's a report coming back from staff. So when the report comes back, my thoughts would be, and I don't want to speak for the rest of council, would be, we're not, oh, we got the report, but oh, what about this? But like when you mentioned, Councillor Bertrand, about, you know, lab and x-ray techs and nurses, I think it's worth adding that, like, so we understand what that would look like. You know, doctor scholarship, I think it's a great motion, is this much. But if somebody came forward for, because right now we're in a doctor crisis. 2 years from now, we're going to be in a nurses crisis. 2 years after that, we're going to be in a lab and x-ray crisis. Like, it's, I don't think it stops. So I don't think it's wrong to do and I would think that Councillor Norbury would be fine with an amendment. And if not, then we can always do another notice of motion. Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I do like the idea. I do like the support and giving somebody a chance to go down this avenue that they might not have had before, not considered before. The problem I come up against is we don't control who's hired and who's not. We put a scholarship out there, we pay for their school, they apply and they get rejected. We have literally no control for nursing, for doctor, for anything at this point in time, at least. That's why I think it's, as far as the town goes, I think we're better off trying to do it at the back end than the front end, because we don't have that layer of control. I'm willing to listen to any ideas around this. I mean, I do like it. I do like the motivating factor, but in the end, we just don't have the control. And I see there's a couple more comments coming, so I hope it gets addressed. Thanks.
Thank you. I really apologize, Council, but we're going to take a 5-minute recess. I really, really apologize. order. My apologies. Councillor Noxana, then Councillor Norbury.
Thank you. I like the return of service stipulation in a bursary or a grant we're giving out from the district, especially if we're looking at a really large amount. And whether that's, we're asking this trained physician to come back to Tumbler Ridge or the Peace Region or something, but some sort of wording in there that the residents of Tumbler Ridge will see something back from that. I like the idea of branching out because I do recognize we are sometimes in a critical situation for other professional, specifically medical folks in our community. But right now we are very much, and the country is in a crisis for doctors. And I find it hard to branch out right at this exact second to others when we could make a difference and get doctors back eventually with a bursary like this. I think down the road, if this worked, maybe we branch out, but for this exact motion, I'm not sure.
Thank you. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I think good comments regarding the return of service. I think that was my vision moving this forward, but you know, I want to let staff have their input, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to all discuss about what we want from this. Realistically, I think moving forward, this could be an amazing step forward in healthcare recruitment and retention in our community. It could be an amazing success story. You know, but with that, there's some talks about like what's out there for scholarships and training. I was just speaking with somebody from Northern Health today about pathways for people who are interested in becoming healthcare professionals. There are opportunities out there. Like there's, I believe it's called HCAP program, so they pay you to become a care aide. There's also, if you finish that program, there's also a care aide to LN. There's also those sort of pathways to become X-ray and lab, other sort of opportunities. The one big gap, from what I understand, is to become an RN. So you can become an LN, you can become a care aide, you can become an X-ray and lab technician, but not the RN. So moving forward, if that's an opportunity we want to explore, that's there. But just so everyone's aware that there is already pathways that they will pay you to become these things and pay for your scholarship. So not that I'm against us doing that as well, but it's just out there, and it might be a duplication of efforts. You know, to some previous comments about how can we, you know, it's just, I think it comes down to, are we going to get bang for our buck? I think we will. You know, everything says if you get somebody from the north, they will stay in the north. This is a way for us to send someone off, little Johnny or little Susan, off to college and say, you know, good luck, take our thoughts and prayers with you, and come back in 8 to 10 years as a doctor, and we'll welcome you home. Realistically, yeah, we need to talk with Northern Health. We need to ensure that if this is an opportunity, it'll come back. If not, I think we, in that return of service, we stipulate, again, we branch out. You know, just like we're prioritizing Tumbler Ridge. If not, then you keep it in the South Peace region or the Peace region. And I think that's, you know, just good ethics moving forward for the entirety of the region, because we see our doctors go to other communities. These doctors can come to ours in a time of need. So still support it. Good comments about the return of service. So I will amend my own motion to include a return of service.
Second on that, Councillor Noxana, discussion on the regards to return of service in the thing, in the motion. Okay, I call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. More discussion in regards to the amended motion. I got a couple comments. I actually believe if we're looking for a staff report, and we're getting fairly deep when we talk about staff report. Hoping we don't have a whole bunch of amendments, because I'm going to forget where we're at. And so I'm hoping staff's keeping track to help me along, because I imagine there'll be a few more, because I do believe we need to branch out and not out later. I think if we're looking for a report, this isn't something that we're saying we're going ahead with. We're looking for a report. Now's the prime time. If we're doing this, this report's not going to take 2 days or 3 days for staff to complete or work through. This is going to be, you know, maybe a month's worth of work. Maybe it's 3 weeks. Maybe it's 2 weeks. I don't know. But, you know, they're going to be reaching out to find out what costs are and stuff like that. And if we're going to send them out to do that, to me, we should have it branched that we're looking for it all. And I've done the same thing, Councilor Norbury. I've looked it up, talked to Northern Health. Those things there can take a long time for an individual to get it into. whether that's for your X-ray and lab techs, LNs and stuff. RNs it's different. There is some money available through the PRD, through their scholarship program for return of service in regards to the north. But I think if we're going to do a report, and I understand, we're in that crisis right now for physicians. I think if we were to add more to this report, we get a thorough report back, but we can also use the matrix system that we know we're in a crisis for physicians. So they're gonna start a little higher, but maybe we have no takers, but we want some money to the side in the budget, and all of a sudden we get nothing for a doctor, whether that's local Tumbler Ridge youth coming out of high school, but we get somebody out of the south piece, but nobody wants to be a doctor. Everybody's applying to be for an RN. We still need RNs. Right now, Fort St. John is relying on the Go Health program / agency. So when we talk about return to service, yes, I mean, I think if it's taxpayer dollars of Tumbler Ridge, it should be a priority to come to return to service to Tumbler Ridge. But previously, when we talked about some of this concept, is maybe we're full, which is great. If we're full of nurses and even doctors, if we're full and we're still doing this process, and we can help out the Peace region, I think it's important. We do rely on the Peace region as one big family, whether that's healthcare, shopping, anything like that. We're one big area here when you figure north of Prince George and then obviously west of Grand Prairie. So to me, I think if we're asking staff to do this, I think we need to add, and I was going to try holding you off on your amendment, but I mean, that's fine. We can do them one-on-one. But I do think we need to actually get the full report from staff. If they're going to spend 2 weeks or whatever it takes for staff to do it on doctors, probably the same amount of time to add RNs, lab, X-ray, like LPNs. I'll be honest, we don't have many LPNs that work in Tumbler. But I think you'll get a more thorough report, and it'll be easier for them as they dig through it. I could be wrong, but they're already doing that work, talking to people. It's a matter of adding a few more professions. Councillor Bertrand and Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious about the PRD's healthcare scholarship program. I know it's been running for about 4 or 5 years now, and there was a return of service agreement within that to the Peace region. I'm not sure if you're aware, Mayor, or not, but was there an agreement with Northern Health to partner basically with this scholarship? Do you know?
Yeah, my understanding, the names are submitted by Northern Health. That's my understanding is as the individuals come out of university or that are returning, the names come forward to the committee, which now my understanding will come directly to the board for approval, not through the committee.
Okay. Yeah, I've lost my last one there, but okay. Oh, I'm just curious on statistics from that scholarship program. I'm wondering, because I know there's been quite a few uptakes, like over a dozen every year for the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm just wondering, I'd be curious to know some statistics in that program as well, just to see if we've got, 60 or 80 students in school right now that are being supported by the PRD, and, where are those students going to work?
Yeah, I could try to find that. I'll be honest, I don't know this is from there. And the same aspect, we're not talking the same dollar figure. It's a very minimal amount that they get through the PRD scholarship program compared to what, that's why I say I think we need to get, when this report, we need to broaden it all so we know that, maybe we don't have a doctor that sends a letter in looking for this, but an RN does. That's a discussion this council would have to have, or whoever's elected at the point. Is it worth spending the dollars today on that RN? Because it's going to be a lot different than the PRD's one. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think we're really looking at the bang for the buck that we're hoping for. We're talking about a multi-year delay, whether it's RN or doctor, and we don't know what the demands are going to be, and there's really no way to anticipate when the next crisis is coming in. And we have a motion coming up looking at the loan forgiveness side. So if we're looking for reports on all of this on all sides, I think that's a lot of staff time. Looking at where the value is, I think, especially when we're talking about filling specific needs, it's on the loan forgiveness side. Once they're here, once they're in, whatever the options are for supporting them, housing, loan, whatever, I think that's a lot more effective in filling in the needs that we have as we go along as compared to this. As a doctor, you're assuming full-time every year, taking everything. It's still an 8-year process. And we're going to commit to supporting somebody for 8 years. What if they change their mind? Maybe they're not suited for. Like, there's a lot of things that could even put pressures on an individual that they now have this debt that, and it's not the right career for them. I'm imagining this report and all the options and all the things that we're asking for staff to put in, and we still don't have something that will have a return on this investment for years to come. Looking at the second motion, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention and go ahead, but we have another option that we're going to look at here, which we're probably going to also ask for a report. I respectfully, I appreciate, and I do think thinking of ideas is a good thing, but as far as these two reports, I think the second one is where the value is, at least in the short and midterm. So I'm not even going to ask Steph. I think what we're going to end up asking for with the scholarship report is going to be significant. It's going to be huge. So many options, so many considerations, so many things to take in here. And we still are looking at an 8-year minimum delay before you get your first doctor as a possibility. So I'll stop there and suggest my support will be for the next motion, not this one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And before I go, Councilor Norbury, yeah, I think this report that we're asking staff is going to be, I mean, we're not, like, again, I'll never put a timeline to staff to do it. They can slowly get through the process of it. This is something that is the long view lookout. So I do think, you know, like, that's why, I mean, right now, just for doctors, I won't support the motion. To me, we need to include it, and I was hoping to get that conversation going if we're looking at including medical professionals, and I think the staff can pick up on that when we talk medical professional, RNs, lab, X-ray, stuff like that, too, because they're going to be talking to the same people. And I think it's important to have those because right now this is the long lookout. Well, we could already start to see we're probably getting short doctors probably 5 years ago as we come out of the short nurses concept and doctors. If we already had this in play, we're only 2 years away. If this process was in, we're 2 years away waiting for a candidate to come here. So I think I understand there's other motions on the agenda, but sometimes we need to have these outlooks. And maybe, I'll be honest with you, like, to me, it's a report. Yes, it might take whatever time it takes for staff to get it. This is something to get it in front of council so council can look at it. Either we're going to go with it and put some money to it, or we're going to shelf it. But it doesn't mean it stays there. It can come back at a later time. But to me, this is the long outlook that I think, to me, we need to start looking at stuff as I see, you know, previous meeting, we gave direction about Colwood. I know staff's working on that and getting all that. So that's the same concept. We're throwing things out there because we know the crisis we're in. I will update council a little bit later on council business, and obviously council will be going to Prince George. I think there's things we have to put into steps, and I do support it. I just can't just support doctors. I think we need to open it up so that we're prepared, that we're not doing the same thing, or the elected officials in 3 or 4 or 8 years from now aren't asking staff to now go do another report on RNs or lab or X-ray. Do we know what how the numbers increase year after year in regards to the CPE? We can do the same thing here. We all know that. We don't have to keep doing the same numbers back and forth. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. If you're looking for some discussion on your points, yeah, fair enough. I think if they're already going out there, they're already talking medical schools, let's add it in. Right? Realistically, yes, we are good for nurses now, but the outlook may be different in 3 months, 6 months from now. We never know. Like, we had 4 doctors a year ago. Now we have 2 FTEs across 3 doctors. So yeah, things can change quickly. I can see the value in adding that. For me, you know, we look at what the pillars of a community. I think there's 3 main pillars: economic opportunity, education, healthcare. Without those, that stool topples. And this is one of the most important things in our community right now. And it will be in the future. If we don't take care of this now, I can appreciate it. It's like, where are we going to find the time? Staff's busy. But if we don't find the time for this, nothing matters, in my opinion. Like, we need to dedicate everything we can, pivot, focus on healthcare, get this solved. So, yeah, I absolutely support a recommendation to amend. Thanks, Mayor.
No recommendation, but we need an amendment.
That's right.
Okay, I'll put an amendment out there just so we can move this along. Probably debated this long enough, but I'll put an amendment that we add medical professionals, including RNs, lab X-ray techs, and whatever staff, in my opinion, whatever staff sees as a medical professional that maybe we have missed. Seconder, Councillor Bertrand. Discussion on the amendment. So I mentioned that because right now I think we've rambled around here. There may be something that we've missed and not had that discussion about. It's a lot nicer, and I'm fine these coming to here, but when they're at the P&P, we get to have staff involved that we maybe miss something that, you know, we've had a lot of meetings with health and stuff like that. It gives an opportunity for staff to weigh into that. So, okay, can I call the question on the amendment? All in favor? Carried. Okay, so the second amendment, now we're back to the amended motion. Any discussion on that? Okay, can I call the question? All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Hoffman's opposed. Motion carries. Okay, loan forgiveness at the November 17, 2025 regular council meeting. Councillor Norbury brought the following notice of motion forward. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That staff creates a report on offering loan forgiveness opportunities for doctors and nurses in Tumbler Ridge.
Just before we get a seconder with return of service, or just like want to have that added in there, or just wait for the report to come back and look at that? Again, this is just a report. We're not moving forward. Just before I get a seconder, just be curious, do you want to add anything?
No, I wasn't, and I can
Okay,
explain.
good, no, good enough. Seconder? Councillor Noxana? Discussion? Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give the rationale behind this, and it comes from, honestly, my wife. So when she moved here as a teacher, that's why I moved to Tumbler Ridge, she had a loan forgiveness plan in place for her education when she became a teacher. And it was done in, like, if you complete a year, they pay off X amount of debt off of your loan. And that's what I'll be looking for, right? So I don't think we need a return of service, because it'll be after the first year you would get your student loan forgiveness. I'll be honest, I was looking for a little bit of input from council. I was originally thinking maybe we should be focusing this on student loan debt. But realistically, is there anything else we want to try and use to entice doctors here? There's other opportunities there.
Yeah, I'm going to make comments. So, like, I mean, I say return of service. I guess they'd have to be working here to get it, is my understanding the way you're talking. Because I look at it right now, if this report comes forward and staff will be able to bring it forward, all of a sudden council thinks, hey, this is the short term, poof, let's go. Let's get it out there. We're offering. All of a sudden, we have doctors coming forward that they owe $250,000. How many years do we want them to work here, or are we just going to pay it off? Because they already have a loan. So here it is. Here's my loan, but I can be a doctor today because I'm already done through my school. That's why I'm wondering about if we want to have something there, because if all of a sudden you're writing a check for $250,000 for loan forgiveness, the doctor comes, works in Tumbler Ridge for 6 months and says, see you later, off to Vancouver I go. That's why I asked about, like, just in the report. Because to me, Councillor Hoffman mentioned this. I like the one that's coming up on the agenda, because it's now, it's short term, and it's medium term. To me, it hits all the triggers that we're looking for right now. We're looking for 3 doctors. Like, to me, I think we have one full-time, 2 .5s. So, you know, 0.5s, yeah, they're classified as a 0.1, but we're looking for 3 doctors. If all of a sudden we had 3 doctors, if this goes through and all of a sudden we're advertising this in February or March, and all of a sudden we have 3 doctors contact us, they're from the lower mainland and they're coming up here with $500,000 loans, we're prepared. I would be, because that opens up ER. That opens ER. In my opinion, it opens ER. I mean, we have to work with Northern Health. In my opinion, that gives us enough stability that opens ER. But to me, I want to return to service, because to me, writing $500,000 checks, taxpayer dollars, with no guarantee of return of staying here, whether that's, you know, $100,000 a year, so we need 5 years of return to service. To me, I think, you know, I'm just thinking, like, I mean, this is only a report, totally support it, Councillor Norbury. I think it's a start, but to me, that's what I'm looking for. If we're going to start forgiving loans, it's the same thing above. If I'm doing scholarships, same thing to me. I'm just doing it after the fact. They've gone to school, they come to the district, they have a loan, we want to pay that off. It'd be no different if they want to go to school, we're paying a scholarship. Same concept that today is now. This could, once staff brings a report like this to me in front of elected officials, it could be something that goes forward fairly quick, in my opinion. There's doctors out there that don't. Like, I mean, I've talked to multiple. I'm not saying we're going to have anybody come, but when you say this, like, I would think we need to, I mean, we don't have to have it in a report. I think we just got to think about it as elected officials. Councillor Noxana and then Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you. How I saw this and my understanding of how Mrs. Norbury's loan forgiveness was, it kind of was return of service, but it was a lump sum at the end of every year. So if I start working on January 1st, on December 31st, I get whatever percent of my student loan that I paid that year given to me as a bonus, but I've already fronted for that loan that year, but they're paying it off at the end of every year I've stayed there. So if I have $500,000 and I have to pay off $100,000 every year, I have to work that year, and then I get $100,000 at the end of the year, and I can, whatever, like it's money to go that has been paid out to those loans. But it's a way to, you could call it return of service, you could call it many different things. It's a way to have that work done for a period of time, and then the equivalent be paid. So I don't know what you would call it, but that's my understanding of how that program worked.
Okay.
It works the same throughout the territories, or similar.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to answer your earlier statement, no. It is not a lump sum paying off an entire debt load without any guarantees at all. To my mind, a loan repayment, it goes one of two ways, as described, or you're paying their payments as they go until they're paid off. That's the other option to do. I think that's what we're asking in the report, is for staff to break that down, what's reasonable, what's not. We could set a maximum cap of $12,000 a year. We could do whatever we want with the loan, and I don't think it would fall into this report, but the housing allowance, whatever incentives that are financially beneficial, you can structure however you want. But it's not, it has the benefit of, if it doesn't work out for both parties, you're done. You've paid for what you got, and then they can move on, unlike the scholarship one that we were discussing earlier. I really like this as it is. Somebody's in Tumbler, and we are showing our appreciation and showing that this was a good place for them to choose and live, and part of the package that is not under control from Northern Health, which is one of our larger problems here, that we have to wait for that approval from an authority as opposed to be making those decisions ourselves. But no, it's an as-you-go thing. It's, you choose your numbers. If somebody has a $250,000 loan versus a $500,000 loan, you might cap out if you're putting that in the contract of what they're getting a year. And then I would be fine with extending it, that their loans are paid off, but we said loan repayment, so we extend it for another 7 years or 8 years, whatever it takes to pay off. There's lots of ways to structure it, and I imagine it would be in a report. But no, there would be no, give us your loan, we'll pay it off, and you're free and clear to do whatever you want. It's just, it's extra compensation for services rendered, not a gift.
Thanks. Just before I go to Councillor Bertrand, yeah, I understand where you guys are all coming from. I guess I have a different outlook on it, because why would I want to pay interest? So if I'm only paying a percent of their loan every year, what they pay here, I paid $50,000 on my loan this year, so we write the check for 50 grand. They still have a loan that's sitting in the bank, so next year it's another 50 grand or 49. We're paying the interest. The taxpayer dollars are paying interest on that. We're better off to have a contract that states we're going to pay off your loan, but you owe us 5 years. If you don't submit to 5 years, just like Northern Health does today, you get a signing bonus if you come to the north, $15,000. If you don't stay in the location with Northern Health, so you don't have to stay in Tumbler Ridge, so you can sign up with Northern Health and actually move to Dawson or Fort St. John or where else that Northern Health has. But if you move to Interior Health and you've only been here 3 years, you have to pay back a certain percent. That you didn't sit for 5 years of your contract. Because my thing is, why would I want to see, like, I look at the interest. Why, if we have it and they're able, and then we're not using taxation for interest as well, because it can add up to be a lot of money. It depends where their loans are at. I mean, to me, this is just a report. I'm fine with it. I just look at a different aspect that, as we do this, there's other ways of us. If we decide to do a loan forgiveness, there's ways of us looking at different avenues to be able to fund this. And when we do that, there could be where we're able to pay the loan off and we're not getting interest. And we can actually do more of them, would be my comment. Councillor Bertrand and then Councillor Noxetta.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Councillor Hoffman, I do like this idea better than the scholarship idea. It is current. There would be somebody here. and we can show our appreciation in many ways. I would like to try for an amendment on the recommendation. I'd like to amend the doctors and nurses to strike that out and put medical professionals.
Seconder on the amendment. Councilor Norbury. Discussion on the amendment only. Okay, call the, Councilor Bertrand.
Just wanted to clarify that I think, again, we're limiting ourselves to doctors and nurses. I think, you know, when we did have a lab crisis, we as councillors learned that lab is absolutely critical to have a clinic open. So I think medical professionals will encompass everyone.
Yeah. On amendment, Councilor Hoffman. Councilor Hoffman.
Thank you. I'm just trying to recall the original. I thought that you already gave a very broad sort of whatever staff thinks could be considered a medical professional in your original motion.
That was a previous motion.
Okay.
This is a different motion for a different report. Okay, call a question on the amendment. All in favor? Carried. Okay, discussion on the amendment, or the amended motion. Sorry, Councilor Noxena, then Councilor Norbury.
Thank you. I have two comments, and one was I'd love to see nurse practitioners in this. However, that amendment definitely will capture that. The second comment is, yes, there is a potential for a lot of interest having to be paid, or, you know, an amount of interest being paid. However, if someone chooses not to stay through their contract, there will be money spent trying to get that money back from that individual. And I know there's contracts in place and things like that, but I still see there being some money spent out, potentially chasing people down, trying to get money back, because they didn't like Tumbler, or which is fair, they didn't like the Peace Region, they didn't like something about it, and now you're stuck fighting with someone after the fact. So there's going to be money, there's a potential for money being spent either way.
Yep, good comment. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the comments, but I don't think we need to limit ourselves to one or the other. Why not see both? I can appreciate the mayor's comment. Like, what if that is the thing that gets the doctor here and they sign a 20-year commitment? Because realistically, coming in with a $500,000 loan, I mean, I appreciate the mayor's comments over, you know, a 5-year term, but I think I'd like to see a little bit more return of service there. But if they're willing to sign it, great. If that's what creates the goodwill towards our community, there's that option there for them, and we don't have to limit ourselves to one or the other. We can have both out there. Say, hey, you're coming with this huge student loan debt. It'll take you 15 years to work it off, but if you can make it, it's yours. No interest. We're saving some money. They're saving some money. At the same time, we do need to, I mean, and staff can capture it. You know, we build it in, right? If you're unable to follow through with your commitment, you need to repay us back. That's not unreasonable. It's not uncommon. We can absolutely build it in. I think both totally fine. It's very reasonable. You know, we've talked about it before. This is the now. How do we solve this problem right now? This is an opportunity for us there. So I think staff can take that. If they want a specific amendment to say those two types, I'm happy to do that. But this is for all opportunities. I think we have it's an opportunity there. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, and I think this is the report. We're just looking for a report. I think that's just a conversation to be had there as it comes forward. I mean, it won't be in the report about, you know, full payment of loan or whatever. What does it look like as we were through the process? Again, I just want to make sure that I know what I'm thinking of, because to me, I'm not an interest kind of guy. It can add up pretty quick. Right now, it can't, because we're actually at a fairly good interest rate. But I just throw it out there, and I like both options. I don't think it doesn't hinder the motion. Councillor Hoffman.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And that's just it. I think we want as broad as possible considerations when we're asking for this report. And I know that will make it take a little more time. But I mean, we can go all day. I mean, we can just pay off the loan and hold a separate note that we own that debt instead of the company that's charging interest. Like, we can handle it in so many different ways that I'm hoping will come out in the report. And then there's no jumping ship. And then you can argue that, oh, they could jump ship, they could leave the country and go to Australia, and now we can't get them back because Australia wants doctors so bad that they're not going to put any summons on them. I think there's a lot of potential here for a lot of different positions and in a lot of different financial options for loan forgiveness on how we handle it. I'm very much in support of this motion. I think this gives us a very broad, including other professionals that we may not have in town, that we can now try to entice on this, that may or may not fall under Northern Health as well. So I'm just throwing all that out for staff, that don't limit yourself on this one as far as I'm concerned. Whatever you can think of, let's take a look at as much as we can. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I call the question on the motion that staff creates a report on offering loan forgiveness opportunities for medical professionals in Tumbler Ridge? All in favor? Carried. Councillor business, thanks Councillor Noxana. Any councillor business from the floor? Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. I'd like to give a plug that the AGM for Tura is this Wednesday at 6 at the Rec Center. I have another report from them coming forward at our next regular meeting, but the Tura youth are up to wild things and are very, very busy. I was also able to attend the food drive last week. It was really well attended, and I've had comments from a few members of the community that they were impressed with how many people were there helping out. It's still, I think we were over 2 hours canvassing. I was on the bottom bench loop. So it was still a ton of time out door to door, but definitely some great turnout, which was great to see. So thanks for everyone who helped out.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you. Actually, mine's on the food drive too, except from the inside. So yeah, canvassing was about 2 hours, and we were there to just after 9, and we were able to go through everything for the first round of processing. So thanks to everybody who was there, and a special thanks to some of the junior rangers who came in after doing the canvassing and helped finish off the processing well. It was very much appreciated.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Norbury.
More on the food drive. You know, I do want to give a little talking. I spoke with the food bank coordinators about how well it went. I'm always very interested about how well it's gone. And they felt this year was as good as last year, if not a little better in terms of food raised. The big shining point is that they received, you know, almost $2,000 in cash donations, which is exceptional. They've never seen that much money donated before. So it's showing that I think Cumberland Village is they really do come together when in times of need, especially around the holidays. So it was a great event. I wanted to speak about, I was in Victoria last week. I was in Victoria. Sorry, the weeks are blending together. I was in Victoria to witness the petition being delivered to the legislature on behalf of the District of Tumbler Ridge. Larry did us proud. It was presented to the legislature. I did have an opportunity to meet with the Minister of State while I was down there. Had some good, productive discussions about our healthcare issues, and you know, I have no doubt that the mayor did a much better job. But you know, tried to make it the most use as I can with my limited capacities down there. As I am not the mayor, and I don't really want to step on his toes. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Any other councillors' business? Yeah, thank you very much to everybody involved in the food drive. I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but definitely to council, our local volunteer fire department, search and rescue, and Nanaimo Resources. I know they were able to send a guy out to help, and then obviously the food and the church itself. I think it's great. I appreciate hearing back that much money was collected. I did reach out as well. They're very happy with the amount of food donations. So I mean, that's thanking our residents for supporting such a great cause in the season here. And you know, we can't do it to me without, you know, all the volunteers that come out. So staff and firefighters and search and rescue, the junior rangers and the rangers and just everybody together. I think it's so important to see that. So thank you for everybody that could participate, including the council that could show up. Great job, well done. Couple things. I was in Victoria last week as well. Yeah, last week. I went down for mining at the ledge. It was Nanaimo Resources that I reached out about mining at the ledge. So at that opportunity, I set up quite a bit of meetings with ministry staff. I arrived Tuesday evening, met with Nanaimo and West Moberly First Nations and Soto First Nations on Wednesday morning for a breakfast meeting, also with IMW as well as West Moberly Alliance. Nanaimo hosted the breakfast just to have a get-together before we met with ministry. So I had set up a meeting with the Minister of Mines, with permitting, environment, to try and get everybody together. Soto had worked on their side. One of the employees that worked for Soto had set up a meeting with the Deputy Minister and a few staff. And our times were kind of mixed together there, so we had set up a plan on how who was gonna go to where later in that afternoon, because the question period went longer than it was supposed to. The meetings got kind of mixed up, so the meeting I'd set up and moved to 3, and so does the meeting, because really the only individual that wasn't at the same meeting that I had hoped and got with staff was the deputy minister was going to be at the Soto meeting and not at this one. So without giving any information to Soto went down the street to meet with them, and then realized that they had canceled it because they just had a deputy minister join the meeting I had set up. I thought the meeting went over really, really well, obviously. So we were there to advocate on behalf of Nanaimo. So I advocated on behalf of the municipality. West Norbury, First Nations, and Soto obviously advocated on behalf of their own nations, trying to get this permit still. So right now they have a bridge permit, which the district of Tumbler, when we were at the UBCM, actually got a signed copy of the bridge permit before Nanaimo was advised that they were getting the bridge permit, because they weren't advised until October. So we should have probably presented the permit to them that we have here at Town Hall. But it was good. I didn't know that Nanaimo didn't have it, so I found that out there. Some people were aware in the office, but not everybody. So I think I didn't know it was an opportunity that we could have done it. So that's my bad. I thought Nanaimo had already known because they had reached out to me. So my thoughts there was from the UBCM, from the Minister of Mines meeting we had, and then I had it again with the PRRD. Looked like early December for the permit, because of the bridge permit, on how it, it goes until, I think it's supposed to go to the end of January, but it's also on how much tonnage we pull. Sounds like from Nanaimo's side, the tonnage that they're pulling will probably be early January that bridge permit could cease. So we were very adamant about holding deadlines from the ministry's side. And to break it all down, there's some concerns or some questions about environment, and they're going to work through it. So 2 things came out of this meeting in my belief. So one of the things Nanaimo asked if there's anything I could do or the First Nations could do is try to get the government to promise an in-person workshop on the environmental side. So the government has promised that workshop. I believe it's being held on December 12th. I don't know if it's via Zoom or whatever, but it's going to be, say in person, but let's talk about Zoom probably, but maybe they're going to fly down to Vancouver. I don't know. That has been a promise by the government. I've asked the government to make another promise, which they could not promise, which I understand, but I asked for them to promise the permit by the 18th of December, as the First Nations do close down from December 19th to January 5th, and that would just push that permit back. So I'm really, really hoping that government comes together with Nanaimo Resources and they work through any environmental questions that they have concerns with or questions about. Our biggest advocacy piece from our side, from the district side, I'll be honest, is like I spoke about, if it's high risk environment stuff, I have a concern. I don't know what they are, but I would have a concern, because that should be concerning for all of us. West Norbury and Soto spoke the same thing, but that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like this is all low and not something too concerning, but there's just some things that they have to work through. So I asked the Minister of Mines Chief of Staff if he'd ever seen this in the amount of time that he's worked for government, when you see industry, 2 First Nations, and municipality in the same room. He had never seen it. Chief Wilson and Chief Paquette, great individuals, great advocacy, spoke well. Chief Wilson said, maybe we need to rethink this and not support Nanaimo Resources permit, and they would have already been approved. So he really threw it back at government about the slowdown, that they have no capacity in the nations to do certain things, but the nations were able to hold their timeline, and this was done by May by both nations, or all 3 nations, because McLeod Lake Indian Band was also supposed to be there. Something come up and they had to cancel. So all 3 nations held the timeline held by government to have these papers signed by May, and they did it with no capacity. And then the government has all this capacity and couldn't hold the same timeline. So it's been pushed back to them. So hopefully the Nanaimo Resources gets the permit on the timely fashion that they need. Ms. Scott was at the meetings I've attended, not only at the UBCM, but previously with Nanaimo Resources. We talked about June. They needed it by June and July. And here we are, December 1st. So met with Minister of State as well. Had a great conversation with Minister Anderson. I'll tell you, I think that's a ministry position that was added by Premier Eby that I think will benefit small communities like Tumbler Ridge. She definitely has a time for you. Definitely wants to reach out. I know I got reached out when Councillor Norbury was down. What would be okay if we can't? I'm like, absolutely. That's why he's there. Connect. Have a conversation. I think it's important. So same thing, healthcare. We talked healthcare. I think we need to use advocacy as well when we talk about healthcare. And, you know, I look forward to this meeting in Prince George with the Northern Health Board. As I learned a few different things, I think, down in Victoria. And to be honest with council, I think, you know, I always thought, you know, you try to be nice, got to be friendly. And I think, you know, I tried to do this at the UBCM is just keep push. I think that's how you get things. Like, you know, my understanding, you know, talking with Miss Brittany Anderson is, yeah, like you gotta be really focused out there and government remembers who you are if you're pushing and not just sitting back. So I think I was doing the right job when I was at the UBCM, and I think I'll continue doing it this year. I had an opportunity to pretty much meet with every minister throughout the week, throughout the day and a bit. I met with Minister of Health, Josie Osborne, Wednesday evening. We had a very light conversation. It was a little bit of a reception, so I kept it fairly light. But it definitely had a roundtable about, you know, from the district side, from the residents' side, and how we need to work through this and try to come to maybe a different vision. So I think there'll be some conversations had. I know Christmas is getting close, and I do believe for mental health reasons that we've got to be careful how far we carry this into Christmas season, in my beliefs. But as soon as Christmas is over, I mean, I plan on going up as close as I can to Christmas, arguing this, but I will probably relax for the first, you know, 3 or 4 days leading into December 25th, and then take it up on right after Christmas. But I'm asking for that we be reinstated, or ER after hours emerge be reinstated as soon as we can either hire doctors or have enough locums that we have a 4 FT, is my understanding is what Northern Health says we need. I will confirm that on December 8th. Met with Premier Eby, same thing, healthcare, and permit for Nanaimo Resources. So yeah, I thought it was great. I met with the Minister of Education. Again, we just had like conversation. It's too bad I didn't know about some of the stuff I've heard about tonight, previously to the meeting from the PAC president and such. Some of that information would be nice to have as you go down to, you get an opportunity when you're in Victoria and maybe you're not there for somebody, you just end up running into these individuals. Be nice to have those off conversations. I think we need to really start worrying about our children and education, and not just healthcare. I think it's all important to us. So I think we've got to be on top of it. Had a great meeting with the Ministry of Forest. I think I look forward to joining the community forest, and I appreciate Council Norbury, because I did reach out to Council Norbury ahead of time to make sure he'll be okay with that. I'll be honest, I think I need a pulse on that as I speak with the Ministry of Forest. I think we definitely get along fairly decent, that I was able to talk. And of course, I don't want to be talking at Hawk. These are taking expansion because they just expanded Mackenzie. We want one in Tumbler, but maybe I'm speaking at a turn because I actually don't sit at the community forest board level to know what they're actually looking for. So I think this might be an opportunity. He seems to be very open to ideas, very, very open to ideas. So I think we'll gain some stuff hopefully out of that. The last thing I have is Pear Cup. I did the opening ceremony yesterday for the Pear Cup. Hats off to the city of Dawson Creek, to the host committee. They did an amazing job yesterday. Not only did we, they had everything set up, but we went down early. They had to start at noon for anybody, and of course, Tumbler Ridge's day was yesterday. So we went down, we did some smudging. We smudged all the sticks, so player of the game is going to get a hockey stick with the Pear Cup in the year, and the city of Dawson Creek etched into it. But all the sticks were done by Indigenous artists within the Peace region. Some Soto and West Moberly members, and there was a lady that works for the city of Dawson Creek that's an Indigenous member that did some amazing work. I do have pictures, plan on sharing it with staff so they can send it out, maybe get it into the report. Well done. If I was really impressed, I'll be honest. I've never really watched it, but man, they move. It's amazing how fast they can get up and go. Like, wow. So I watched Canada and China. It was 7-0 for Canada at the end of the 3 periods. But yeah, it is, like, I'll tell you, if you get an opportunity to be able to head to Dawson Creek this week, I would do it. I do have tickets available for myself. I do, if somebody needs any tickets, I do have some. Personally, I have tickets, so, but yeah, if we get an opportunity, and I believe, I'm not sure where we sit district-wise for tickets, but if we still have tickets, people should be reaching out to our community center. And to me, I'm not sure how council feels, but I believe if we still have tickets and staff want to go, to make sure we're sending as many people as we can. I would think the game yesterday in the afternoon was fairly light. I don't know, I didn't count the people. It was fairly light. But there's lots going on, lots of hockey tournaments in the Peace region. I'd love to be down there when these schools are there. I think these players are just going to just live it up, seeing that place full. But yeah, and Hockey Canada, I think enough can't be said about Hockey Canada, bringing something like that to the Peace region. It really shows the region, and Dawson Creek is definitely a star in including the region when it comes to the Hockey Canada events. I was presented with a Canada jersey with Tumbler Ridge written on the back. I left it at the Eventive Center. There is an opportunity that Team Canada would probably sign it. So I've left it there and asked Darcy if he would be able to, if he can sign it, then we'll pick it up at a later time. But we'll be able to put that in a case and put it with the other one if that's where staff so fits. So if you get a chance, go to Pear Cup. It is well worth the opportunity to see those athletes. And this is the last time they will be playing in a tournament aspect before going over to Italy for the Olympics. So take the opportunity. That's all I got. Anything else from council? Question and answer period. Ms. Scott.
No emailed questions.
Thank you. Take adjournment, please. Councillor Noxana.
That the December 1st, 2025 regular council meeting be adjourned.
Seconder, Councillor Norbury. All in favor? Carried. If council can hang out just for a few minutes, and if